US ranchers, who have largely counted on Chinese and Mexican buyers, are feeling the pain of the trade war ignited by the Trump administration. US meat production has been rising steadily for nearly a decade. The US Department of Agriculture estimates that it will reach a record of 46.6 billion kilograms this year. Although the US is producing more meat, its exports have been hit hard, as Mexico and China have imposed counter-tariffs on US-produced meat in response to Trump's tariffs. Pork has been affected the most. China and Mexico used to import nearly half of US pork exports, but now they have shunned pork from the US. After several hikes in counter-tariffs, the Chinese tariff on US pork now stands at 62%. In June, Mexico also doubled its tariff on US pork to 20%. In the first 5 months of this year, US pork exports to China decreased by 18%, and in recent months dropped to almost zero. The trade war is also eroding the beef markets. Earlier in July, the tariff imposed on US beef exports to China rose from 12% to 37%, placing US exporters at a disadvantage. Estimates suggest that if the trade war had not been started, the value of US beef exports to China would increase from $70 million in 2018 to $430 million by 2020. According to a Wall Street Journal report, more than 1 billion kilograms of frozen meat is now piling up in US warehouses, leading to plummeting prices in the domestic market. Workers in the US meat industry now fear that they may lose the Chinese market to competitors from Brazil, Uruguay, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. US producers are desperate for new buyers in countries like Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Peru. However, none of these countries can compensate for the market loss in China. In an effort to appease anxious ranchers and farmers, the Trump administration recently announced a $12 billion bailout plan. However, many congressmen, agricultural representatives, and farmers have voiced their opposition, saying what they need is a steady market, not temporary assistance. Dave Warner, spokesman for the National Pork Producers Council, said, "What we really want is the trade disputes to end, and then the tariffs will go away." The Trump administration has previously suggested additional 10% tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods. And this week, it suggested raising the proposed tariffs from 10% to 25%. In response, China has unveiled a list of over 5,200 items of US products to be subject to additional tariffs from 5 to 25%. China said it will bring these tariffs into effect immediately if the US goes ahead with its tariff measures. As the US National Retail Federation said, if the trade war escalates, it will only bring even greater harm to the American people.